Well, hello everyone. TheOntarioGardener here, back with a brand new one-shot. And today we're going to be doing pizza. So basically what this is this is a full run through from day one to franchise. And basically this is a 2x speed. And I'm doing pizza. So I set up my typical map here. Using the Cuddle map, Cuddle. The 38 map would also work perfectly fine as well if you want to go that route. And I'm doing pizza. So I like to set my restaurant up basically the same way all the time. The tables go along the left. With this type of map, you can fit 4 groups of tables early on like this, no problem. And my rule of thumb, which I always say, always in all my videos, is if you have as many or fewer groups than you do tables, call everybody at once. And here I'm going through, get your typical research desk, getting my plates, and I have the plates in the sink at the top always. And with pizza, it's a bit trickier because you have to have the oil, which if you put the oil in the sink, and again, as long as you have as many or fewer groups as you have tables, you don't have to worry about washing dishes. At least early on like this. So you do the trick with the oil in the sink, and then you do your tomato, your sauce, and your cheese. And I like to kind of prep a couple because I know I'm going to be needing, right there, I'm going to be using six pies or 6 slices, and I have one pie is only 4 slices. And there you go. So this is that, and then I run it this way, day by day. I don't skip ahead anything. So what you're watching it's in real time, just 2x speed. Here early on, I always do the same thing. You buy the research desk, and with doing this, we're just going to franchise. There's no reason to try to automate pizza. Like, I've automated pizza in the past. You guys have seen the automation videos. I've had tons of crazy automation videos with pizza, and I don't really find a need to automate it if you're just going to franchise. So I'm not really looking for automation, as you'll see later on, for making pizza. Now, early on here, what I should have done, though, is I should have taken at least one mixer. A mixer and a grabber to do the sauce, because it's a double action. You have to do the tomato, chop the tomato into a slice, and then you have to chop it again to turn it into the sauce. And here we go. We're going into day 3. No problem so far. Let's see what card we get. And we ended up getting a discount desk, which I don't want. And we ended up getting simplicity or bread. So here I kind of debated a bit, because simplicity, is 1 per day. So that means we can only deal with 1 desk. I ended up going with bread because, again, it brought our group sizes down. And here I'm trying to figure out the best layout. Now, it takes me a few days until I have a better layout than this, which you will obviously see. And you may be saying to yourself, why do you keep buying tables? Well, this is one of my strategies that I use or have used for quite a while now is messes will only span 1 tile from the chair. So if you push all your tables back and you have the people sitting, technically 1 full tile in between you and them, messes will never spawn inside. So this is just something that I've always been doing, and especially, if you end up getting the larger group cards or something, you already have the tables ready to go. So it's kind of a preventative for problems in the future. Which, as you can see, we're not having too big a deal. I ended up getting a copy desk, which, during the day when I was doing this, I was really debating if I wanted to do a copy desk or if I wanted to end up doing go for a blueprint desk. Because I'm like, okay, do I want to go automation? Do I not want to go automation? And obviously, I decided the latter, at least at this stage. So we're at day 5. I keep getting the same things. I'm not sure. Do I buy the table? Yeah, here's where I'm debating about copying and upgrading I do buy the last table. There we go. Perfect. I was debating about buying the hob and then, or getting the hob, researching, and buying the copy desk to copy. But then I decided against it. Again, the layout that I have here, I'm not overly pleased with, as far as there's just a lot of running. If I would do this part over, I'd have the pizza or the oven at the top near the plates, because here I have to run. You can kind of see where I end up putting the pizzas as we go along here, so it's not a huge deal. I smartly, start putting the pizza near the plate, so you're not running as far. It's a lot easier to move 4 slices of pizza one time, like on a pie, than to run back and forth each time. As you see, we're going through pretty quickly. We get our blueprint desk, of course, which we'll end up purchasing here, day 5. None of these I could care less about. I love getting exclusive. That's my kind of go-to. Now, if I'm not serving diner style, or if I'm having some kind of weird diner style setup, I would definitely go formal, just to have no messes. And here I'm debating about the setup. And as you can see, I do start switching things around a little bit, and mainly that's because so I can actually have pizzas on the go at the bottom. And then there's a prep station, which I thought about taking, but I ended up not, because I'm like, you know, what am I gonna do with the prep station? I can put a couple pieces of pizza in it, fine, but I mean, a freezer will hold 4 pieces, same as a frozen prep station. And I'm like, you know what, I don't have another blueprint cabinet, so I can't really go that route. And you know, we still are dealing with the bread. So far the bread hasn't been bad. Like, we haven't gotten hit real bad where like everybody in the group wants it, except, you know, a couple times there. And here we have to make a new, and here I messed up a bit because I don't have a place to put the slice. Because when you have the oil in the sink, as soon as you tap it one time, it'll end up turning it into 2. Like, it'll double tap it, and that's not what you want. As far as like double tapping to turn it into a dough ball and then into the pizza crust, that's the trick by using the oil in the sink like that. And again, we're still not really messing with dishes too much because we don't have to, thankfully. And then here, you know, I have the I'm not sure if that's a vase or the whatever in the cabinet, which I'm not using. So here's our first card where it's interesting to me. None of these bring down groups. But the thing is, though, with onion pizza is that you then have to then take their order. So, you know, how many are you going to want? So I ended up taking the, was it the larger group card or medium groups? So it bumps everything up by 1. So now our group sizes are, instead of being 1 to 2, it's now 2 to 4. So it kind of doubles that up. So I was debating here about, okay, you know, I have 3 groups, I have 3 tables. I might as well just get all of them to have 4 people. And again, here I'm debating a little bit about what to put in. I'm like, okay, I think I ended up going the route to upgrade to try to get a freezer. And that's mainly for the bread, not for a pizza, because the pizza always comes later. And now you can see here, we actually have 2 full groups of 4, and then we have 1 group of 3. Like, this is a pretty big, like, you know, so 4, 4, and 3 is 11. So that's 3 pies. So like, that's a lot. And I realized that at the time. So I'm kind of prepping the pizzas now, at least 2 of them. I think I might actually prep the last one. I'm not sure. Because I moved it up there because I know I'll need it. And then here's where I start. I could have done this a little bit better. Again, this is where a prep station would maybe be a little helpful. And here I have to make sure I have enough table or enough plates for the table. So I was kind of counting then. And then here's where you have to move. You know, having a better sink would be really good here, because otherwise, you know, you have to move the oil every time, and you always got to make sure you have plates. As you can see, the timers are ticking down a bit, but I mean, they take quite a while. And you know, 1 pie will do it because we actually have 1 plus 1, or 1 full pie, so that's 4 slices plus 1. And sometimes I kind of portion it out beforehand. Sometimes I don't. It doesn't really matter. Here at day 7, we ended up getting the freezer. Let's see if we can go up to there. There we go. So we ended up getting the freezer, and that'll help us out for the bread, because we can make a fresh loaf at the end of the day, if I remember. Now here I made a little error, which there'll be a quick little blip. Right there was the blip. So I actually started the day with that table at the bottom, and a group sat there, and I couldn't get there. So I just exited out, refreshed the day. It didn't change anything because the day just started. So that was that little blip there. And what I should have done here is, instead of putting the sink in there, I should have I wasn't thinking, because I have 1 mod that allows hobs, and it also allows portioners and combiners to cycle when you research them the second time. It'll keep cycling. I think it's like the enhancement mod or automation mod or something. I'm not sure what it was, but I should have been a little bit smarter with it. And here I'm like pushing things around because I don't have space. Again, because I needed the sink for the dishes. But again, I ended up lucking out. I had 2 double groups, and then I had a triple group. So like, you know, you can luck out pretty good here. You can get a bunch of double groups, or you can end up getting a triple group. And here I always remember my research, because I get burned so many times on that. I think I ended up getting, I'm not sure if it's a wash basin or if it's a soaking sink. We'll see it right now. I can't remember what it was here. If I don't pull it out, and then we're going to start getting coffee tables, because we're obviously getting more groups. We end up getting another blueprint cabinet, which is good. So this is the basin. So the basin, I was debating, should I wait or should I not wait? And here's where I do move things, like finally move things around, because it's like, you'll see, I kind of shuffle things a bit, and I end up putting things back and moving things. It's just, you'll see how I end up setting it up. But again, I like leaving this stuff in the videos, especially like doing these one-shot deals here, because it shows you that as I'm like, this is taking, a couple minutes, a minute or two to actually reset this up. I'm always thinking, and I put the table in there. I'm not sure why I put the table in there. Honestly, there's no reason for it. But I put the hob in there because I wanted to start getting safety hobs, because safety hobs, while they are slow, you can put a pizza on it. You don't have to worry about it. And the thing is with safety hobs, is you can portion from a safety hob without a penalty. So like that's great. So here I'm kind of seeing. I always like to collect the boards right away, even though I don't have a double table set up here where there's two next to each other where you could load them up that way. But the basin here is really going to help us out, and I got a bunch of double groups too, which helps. The basin's great because again, it acts as a dish rack, basically like a glorified dish rack, and it also acts as a cleaner, and it takes just as long to do one dish as it does to do. It takes just as long to clean one dish as it does to do four. And as you see here, I'm kind of shuffling a bit with the oil and the bread and the sink because I want to put a fresh loaf in there. And so it's like I could have laid this out better, because if you see at the top of the screen, I have 3 countertops that I'm not even using, plus the one next to the freezer on the outside. I'm not using it at all, so I could reconfigure this a bit better so I'm not shuffling things around as much. But I mean, you'll see as we go on a little bit more. And here I remember to do my research. I ended up, I think I did do the research on the table. In hindsight, I shouldn't have done that. Like, it was pointless to do that. I should have just bought the table, just to stick up with. And check out the card we get here though. Flexible dining or onion pizzas. We get onion pizzas as the second one, so we're going to do flexible dining. So now instead of having groups 2 to 4, we now have groups 1 to 5, which is actually a good thing. Now groups of 5 are big because that's more than one full pie. And as you see there, we ended up buying a portioner, and here I'm really debating how I want to set this up. And you'll see I actually end up changing. I'm not sure if I changed it here. Everybody got out my safety hob, so now we're kind of rolling a bit here. I do a little bit of re-rolling because I'm like, let's try to get something better. And here I passed on a combiner, which in hindsight, I should have bought the grabber. And the portioner, I think I buy the portioner, or I may just see here in hindsight, I should have bought the grabber and I should have bought the portioner, because foreshadowing later on, I know I'll be needing them. But again, I wasn't thinking about having the tomatoes automated, and I should have. I ended up putting a bin in here for some odd reason. I think it's because there's nothing else to put in there, which again, it was fine. Like, it doesn't really, doesn't change anything in the outcome. But here I'm switching things around because I need to have groups of 5. And I'm like, okay, well, how can I have all the tables of 5? Because right now I have a 6, a 5, a 5, a 4. I'm like, okay, well, how can I figure this out? Well, let's just figure this out. There you go. Exactly like that. You took away the blueprint desk. Now here I kind of have it at the bottom, so I'm not seeing it as much. Here I'm kind of debating or thinking how I like it. But we have enough. Like, I'm still calling everybody, because look at the coins. We only have 98 coins. But again, if you have as many groups as you have tables, call everybody. And as you can see here, we have a single diner at the top, and at the coffee table, we have a single diner. So like, that's a huge bonus for us, because this is a group of 1, this is a group of 3, a group of 5, and then we have a group of 1. So we have a 1, 1, 3, 5, so we have 10. So we could have as many as 20 customers. We only end up getting 10. So that's great for us, because that's only, it's 4 pies, because a full pie, or sorry, 3 pies, because that would be 12, of course. And here I'm like, okay, running back and forth is inevitable. You can't avoid that. As you can see later on, as you will see later on, I do change that a little bit. And here I got to make sure I have more bread going in, because I always want to try to have a full loaf. And we only need 3 slices. And as you see, we don't have 3 slices, but that's fine. I wanted to get my research done first. And in hindsight, I should have put a slice. I should have put a pizza on top of the safety hob, because we're waiting. And then I'm like, you know what? We're waiting too much, because you see the timer will start dancing a little bit there, as you see. And there you go. We're still good to go. And I had that other slice on the plate. I didn't end up even using it, which is fine. We're rolling along here to day 11. Now things are taking a little bit longer now, of course. So here's where I'm like, okay, we end up getting a portioner, and I'm like, all right, let's reconfigure. And then, I don't think I even buy any decorations like the flooring. Again, I wish you could toggle that to spawn that outside. So here's where I really do a change. And you can see I'm taking quite a while to do this, but this design here, or almost this design, lasts me through till the end game, which you will see. Because I'm like, okay, let's make the pizzas up here. We have the safety hob, we have the oven, we can do the bread. And I think I do move the freezer, or I'm not sure if I move the freezer or not right now. I don't think I do. excuse me, do I do. Okay, I do move the freezer. I'm like, okay, that's a little bit hard to run around. Let's do it like that, and that works out perfectly fine. So in the blueprint cabinets, it's just 2 decorations, so it's nothing important. Here, I'm trying to figure out a better way to have it as far as having 5, 5, 5. Now again, we have 6 on the coffee tables, which it doesn't matter. And then here's such a better setup because like I'm cooking the bread right now, but as you can see, I put the bread there. We have double bread, and now we have tons of extra space, or I should say we have enough dedicated space. Now the only thing I do is I swap out, the pie that's cooked, I swap it with the uncooked. Then we're ready to go here, and I think I actually have the third pie ready to go. And here I start portioning out bread because obviously we know we're going to need it. And I'm lucking out pretty. Like I'm pretty much lucking out when it comes to the amount of bread that we need. And as you see here, we have enough pies, which is great. And then we're dealing with messes because we don't have the tables can't be pushed back far enough, just due to the fact that we have that little wall segment on the top left of the screen there that kind of really messes things up. And as you see there again, we swippy swapped it around as far as you put one on the safety hob, then you move it, which that's nothing to do with them cooking. It's just due to space. Like you don't want to have a raw one sitting on a counter when you have a cooked one cooked. And we're lucking out pretty good. Like there's a group of 2, here's a group of 3. So I mean, I'll say lucked out. I don't think that's the correct wording really, but I did do, I ended up doing okay with this. And yeah, here I do my research because I'm like, I don't know what's in this. And the reason why I don't know what's in it is because of that. Now I should have just left it as a compost bin because I didn't remember how it went. It went to what, expanded bin, I think. And there we go, we're done. So we're up to day 11 now. We're on to day 12. Now again, this is where days 1 through 9 or 1 through 8, 1 through 10 even go quite quick, and then the other days take longer. So we're still at flexible dining groups 1 to 5. We're fine, and I'm like, okay, how do I want to do this with the coffee tables? Let's just have 1 with 3, 1 with 5. It doesn't matter. And I end up putting stuff in, like I put the prep station in there. The sink is to try to get a dishwasher or something, but as you'll see what happens here. And we end up having the bin in there again. And here I'm basically doing exactly the same thing as I did before because we had, how many groups do we have? I think we had 4 groups or 5 groups or something like that. Get the pizzas on and then have one prepped. And I have just enough space here. Like I have 1 free countertop for all this, and that's all we really need. And then of course we're rolling through the bread. I don't think I ever got one table where like all 5 or all 4 of them wanted bread. Because that's just going to be ridiculous. And here, I preload things a little bit, end up messing up. Oh no, that wasn't on this one. I ended up messing up a little bit as far as plating and putting plates on the portioner. As you see here, I have no pizza ready, and I don't know if I catch it right away or not. I don't. I want to get the bread out, and as you see, I have no bread either. So here I got to dip that in, go back, and then I think, do I notice the pizza? I don't even notice the. Yeah, see, I don't notice that there's one there, which again, it's perfectly fine. It doesn't matter. I have to get the other bread out. I know this is a single group, so like having like the flexible dining like that. I mean, I haven't done many runs, and you guys basically see all the runs I do, especially of course the ones that I film, but I don't really do a lot of runs off camera. So having the ones here where I'm getting like the flexible dining in the medium-sized groups or the large groups or whatever it was. Like I haven't really ever played that before. And we got the flexible dining, we got medium-sized groups, right? Because that's where you get 2 to 4. Flexible dining is then you get 1 to 5, and then the other ones is if you get the large group, which we'll see what happens at the end of today. And here I'm kind of floundering a bit, not like, oh, I don't know what to do. It's like I'm just trying to count in my head if I have enough. And I think it go, and here I didn't do any research because I'm like, oh, I forgot to do research, but I didn't really need to do research. Now see what card we get here. This is large groups. And I'm like, you know what? We had onion pizza on days 3, 6, 9, and 12. I think we got it every day, but I'm like, I don't want to do onion pizza because that's going to be a problem because then I have to then make sure I have 1 of each ready to go. Or if we have groups here, groups of 5, and we want 4 onion or 5, like it's just a pain to do different ones. And here I'm reconfiguring because now we got large groups, so that's +2. So like this is the largest I think group size things you can have is 3 to 7 with this type of map because this type of like vanilla type run because we got medium groups which goes to 2 to 4. We got flexible dining which then goes from 1 to 5, and then large groups which takes it up +2 to minimum and maximum from 3 to 7. And as you see here, we have 3 groups. We have 2 regular tables, and we have a coffee table. And I like to try to keep a certain amount. And here again, I turned those things back on, the tables, because I was going to move it, and then I didn't. And I'm not calling anymore because I don't need to. But look at this. This is a group here of 7. So that's 2 full pies. And then here I think I'm just getting more loaf ready. Yeah, I'm getting another loaf ready because I know I'm going to need it. Might as well get 2 pies going. And then I lucked out. Look at that. Only one person wanted a pie. I was like, wow, that's surprising. And here I ended up upgrading to get I think that was another freezer. I'm debating at the bottom to get another coffee table. I don't really lock in many things. Here, look at how busy this is. In my head there's a little stutter there as I was counting. Okay, how many people do I have? I know I have 8 plates. And I ended up using 7 plates. And here's a group, they wanted 3 slices, like three different batches, which is fine because, again, I'm always counting in my head. Bread gives you 10 portions. So in here, I'm always grabbing something. I'm never walking with empty hands. I'm always back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But I notice I have no pizza ready, and I'm going to need pizza. And I believe this is only the second group. So I'm going to get the second pie on because we know we're going to have another group. All right, so we swap them around. It works out good. The bread's fine. Because those guys at the top, I believe, are on pizza at this point. Yeah, they're on pizza. So I ended up loading the tables. And as you see, the 2 table groupings I have, there's actually 2 dining tables together that are next to the counter or the serving area. And why I like that is because you can preload 2 of those tables with pizza. And here we're looking for 2, and I have to go over to this other one to get it. And now I'm doing my research because I know. I ended up getting a safety hob, which was great, and then I ended up getting another bin, the bins, I'm not sure why I went with the bin stuff. Soaking sink, I'm like, okay, because I didn't think that actually upgraded, which it did. I just didn't notice it, of course. I'm like, and I always trying to count, and then here I totally forget to put a fresh loaf, like a full loaf in, but it's fine. I'm like, at this point, I'm like, you know what, we have 2 more days to go. Do I want another portioner? Maybe for the bread, maybe for this. I'm debating how I want to go, but I ended up getting my second safety hob, which is amazing, by the way. And here's where I smarten up by bringing the counters down here. I move them around the big, so I kind of get unsure of myself a little bit. But I'm here like, okay, how do I want to do the sink? Do I want another hob? Do I want another this? I'm thinking, and then when I get to this stage, I'm like, what? All I got to do is franchise. I'm getting no new cards. The worst we could have is we get 1 extra group. We'd end up having 4 groups, but nothing changes. And here I start doing things kind of like I do both crusts, then I do both sauces. It doesn't matter because they always get bread first. And here I want to get the more bread going because I know I'll need it, especially after here. This table wants 3. And then the bread, bread takes a little while to cook, so I never worry about that. And I move the bread into the oven because then it gives me a free space. And then up here, I'm like, oh, I should really have. I know I passed on trainers before, and I'm not sure if I pass on a portioner right there, or unless that was a combiner. I don't remember what it was. Again, this is I'm voice overing this at 2x speed, and here's where I need more bread. And then I'm like, because I get to a certain point when I hit it, there's the trainers, of course. But I'll get the trainers for day 15. Because I was always debate the trainers because they do make mess. Like the hobs make mess. And, so it's like, okay, do I want to deal with messes? And I'm like, let's call the rest. I do my research. I end up researching. I got a danger hob, which I don't need. And then the combiner, I ended up researching to get a portioner because I do have a mod that allows that to happen. And I decided to take all the dishes from the top table instead of the bottom because it's just easier to get the ones at the top. Even though there's 6 groups or 6 people at the table, I know I have a fresh loaf. There you go. And I know I have enough slices because I think I'm counting them right here. Because there's 3, there's 4, and then here's where I count. I know I don't have enough. And there you go. And then I grab that one, and then I think I even leave the one that's on the, okay. There we go. So we end up now going into day 15, which we're rolling along pretty good here. Not going to lie, we're doing pretty good here. I end up get the trainers on the last day, because I'm like, what, let's just use the trainers, why not? And then here I just kind of, I debate what I want to use. And I'm like, should we use this? And because in my head, I'm like, it's the last day. And I knew I just wanted to franchise. So I'm like, I don't want to mess around with this too much and screw it. But I ended up just doing something like this, which is perfectly fine. And then I'm like, down here, I'm like, it's no point. It doesn't matter what's in here to research. It doesn't matter. So let's just play. And again, I always get I get a fresh loaf on because I know I'll need more than 1 loaf of bread. it's just inevitable that you do. And I get the doubled up pizza, which having this setup like this, even though it's not automated or anything, like this is a really great setup. Look how many slices I need there. I used 8 slices, so that's almost a full loaf. And why I like having the boards or having the portioner is because the portioner will insta put 2 slices on the board instead of having to manually do it. Now it's slightly faster, obviously doing it with the portioner, and I have just enough pizza, of course. And here I got to make sure I clean the messes, because if you don't clean the messes, when you have trainers on, the mess spreads. And this is another reason why, I mean, here I guess I kind of jumped it a bit by doing the that pizza first. Again, it doesn't matter. I think we only had 3 groups or 4 groups. There we go. And then I clean all of these up, or I think I maybe just do 4. I don't remember what we did, because we have the coffee table, right? So use coffee tables to your advantage, people. If you guys have them, use them. That's why they're there. And here I ended up deciding to leave the bottom dirty dishes there, because it's like, you know, why have them sit at the bottom when I have to run that much farther? I do have another group coming in, so I may end up swapping the dishes here. No, I ended up staying at the top because I know I had enough, and I had five people there, but I only had 3 slices. This will give me an extra 4, so that'll be obviously 7 slices. That's plenty. We ended up going through a full loaf of bread. Now, I didn't make more bread because I knew this was the last day. That's why I didn't mess with it. I did my research. I wouldn't have had. Oh, actually, I do a full loaf of bread. I do my research. Again, if you're going to be continuing the run, obviously you want to do your research as normal. You don't want to not do that. Like if you're playing for longevity, fine. If you're just playing to franchise, like when you get to day 15, don't stock up on bread. Don't stock on, like, you don't have to do anything because you're going to be ending the run. But again, there we go. And then we hit day 15. I try to get those washed before it ended, and there's that. And it always takes forever for this to go through. Now, I do go to the menu. It goes pretty quickly, but I'm debating here. Now, savings is 50 coins, but it's plus 30. And there we are. Thanks for watching, guys.